What's going on, everybody? I'm Tank, and today I'm going to be giving you a roadie's take on a situation that I've literally been watching unfold in real time today, and it has been absolutely hilarious and glorious to watch. A lot of old school metalheads are really pissed off at Ronnie Radke right now, and for those of us that are familiar with Ronnie, we know that he's a bit of a wild card. We see him going nuts online about a lot of things. And while I don't agree with all of his takes and opinions on things, this one specifically right now is a huge win for him because so many old school metalheads and musicians are really mad about his opinion of and his use of backing tracks. That's right. We're fucking talking about backing tracks. Again, I feel like I just did a video on this explaining what backing tracks are used for and what they actually do because I don't know, I feel like this comes up all the time. Like people hear tracks and are immediately like, Milli Vanilli, they're cheating, they're lip syncing. That's not what tracks are, but apparently some of these old metal boomers really think that that's what tracks are for. So it's a big, long thing, but I'm going to start you off at the beginning here. So about a week and a half ago, Falling in Reverse was scheduled to play the Will Rock Festival. Now, that's a music festival that's hosted by 95 Will Rock, a big rock and metal station up where I grew up in Illinois. It's actually a channel that I listened to a lot when I was younger. And right before the festival, Falling in Reverse announced that they had to cancel. And they were one of the top billed names on the festival. So obviously, a lot of people were upset and looking forward to seeing it and couldn't, but they announced the cancellation through Ronnie, like you would expect, and he posted this video.
Will Rock, I regret to inform you that we have to cancel and we have no other option. I'm sorry, and I never make videos like this, but I feel like I owe it to you guys. So we show up to rehearsal. We only plan to rehearse one time because we just got off tour. We don't need to rehearse that much. And we walk into rehearsals and our laptops are missing that we run all of our show on and stuff. And as in a band in 2022, you need your laptops, it's like driving a car without an engine, you know what I mean? It's really unfortunate. Supposedly they are lost. Blame it on our crew, I guess. I don't know how that happened. That's never happened before. Pretty upset about it. They're brand new laptops, and I'll see you guys at Aftershock in Sacramento on October 2nd. I'm very sorry, guys.
Now, me personally, as a roadie, I had a lot of questions about this. I'm not going to lie, but one of the things I've learned over the years in the music industry is there's a lot going on in different situations behind the scenes. I don't work for them. I wasn't there. I don't know what's going on. But if I just take it from face value, I'm like, okay, they use tracks live, no big deal. Their laptops went missing, okay, so they canceled the show. I've worked for a lot of bands that have used tracks. Actually, there's probably only two bands I can think of off the top of my head that I've personally worked for that don't use backing tracks. And I've worked for bands that have had tracks go down in the middles of shows or go down before the show during changeover and just say, fuck it, we're going to play anyways. And they play without backing tracks. And so hearing this, I was like, okay, their main laptop obviously gone. Their backup obviously gone. So that's their whole show. As Ronnie said, it's like the engine of their car. And I totally understand that. But I was also just like, why, who doesn't have backups? Why are these not on a hard drive somewhere that they can just put on another computer? But to be fair, there's a lot that goes into that. There's so much variables with operating systems on computers and stuff like that. It's not guaranteed to work. So I'm not even going to get into that. I don't think there's anything shady going on here. I really think this was it, especially because Ronnie posted a few days later that their laptops were found in New York, which doesn't help because they were supposed to be playing in Illinois. The only thing that I thought was weird, though, is that he said, yeah, blame the crew, I guess. I've never really seen any artists that I've personally worked for that have thrown the crew under the bus like that. But again, we all know Ronnie. He says what's on his mind. And at the very least, I guarantee you those crew guys will never fuck up something like that again. But let's get past that. they announced the cancellation, right? Few days go by, nothing really happens. The announcements are made. And very recently,
10 seconds later.
Sorry, had to sneeze. Real things that happened during filming these videos. So recently, Eddie Trunk, who a lot of people probably know from SiriusXM and also the host of The Metal Show, That Metal Show, a show that I used to watch a lot when I was younger, and I'm very familiar with this guy. He kind of threw some shade at Falling in Reverse for canceling the show over not having their laptops, and then went on to say that he was currently watching Aerosmith, a real rock band that, doesn't need tracks and blah, 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 blah. The funniest part about that is that Aerosmith uses backing tracks, but we'll digress from that. And then the situation kind of escalated. Like, Ronnie responded to Eddie and basically, kind of explained himself, or maybe explaining himself is putting it a little lightly. I mean, they pretty much started arguing back and forth. And the funniest part about it is that Ronnie did point out to Eddie that, like, Eddie makes this huge deal about real rock bands that just play and just need their talent, and that's it. But a lot of the bands that he loves use backing tracks live. Kiss, Aerosmith, tons of the bands that Eddie has had on his media over the years use backing tracks live. I've seen it, so I don't know what this argument is about. But then a lot of other people start getting in, and people are taking Eddie's side, and people are taking Ronnie's side, and then out of nowhere, Sebastian Bach jumps in, and he seems to be taking this very personally. And there are so many screenshots and so many things that have been going on Twitter that I probably can't even find all of them and get all of them on screen. But the interactions have been fucking hilarious. It even progressed to the point where Sebastian was like so mad about this that he's basically threatening Ronnie and is like, I'm going to beat your ass if I ever see you. And he's challenging him to fights and all this crazy shit, dude. And the whole thing is just so funny because while I'm reading this, in my opinion, like, as somebody who's worked in the music industry, totally, I really do side with Ronnie on this one. Like, tracks are so common. 95% of live bands you will see nowadays are using tracks because it's not just vocals like a lot of these old school metalheads think it is. It's programming for effects changes for guitar players. It's lighting cues. It's intros and outros and, between songs and vamps and stuff. There's so much that computers can do for live shows nowadays that damn near everybody uses them. But the old school metalheads aren't having it, dude. They're like, no fucking way, blah, blah, blah. And they keep going back to the vocal thing where Sebastian keeps saying on his Twitter, like, I don't need a computer to help me sing and blah, blah, blah. And the whole argument to me, at least from what I've been reading, hasn't even been about vocals. Nobody once said that anybody was tracking their vocals. We were just saying backing tracks. And I'm trying to figure out where the disconnect here is. This is like, your old grandpa that doesn't know how to use an iPhone and refuses to try and learn. Like, some of these old school metalheads and musicians just absolutely haven't gotten with the times. Again, tracks are so common, I don't even think about it. It doesn't bother me. Like, it doesn't bother a lot of people from what I've seen. Everybody kind of understands. But I think the whole situation with Milli Vanilli back in the 90s and stuff really gave that stereotypical impression that everybody that's using tracks is lip syncing. And that's not the case. I actually know for a fact, because I have a friend on the Falling in Reverse crew, none of those vocals are tracked. They're using, drum samples and electronics and synth parts and stuff like that. All of the musicians in Falling in Reverse are very good. And I saw it in person. Like, they don't need tracks for their actual instruments or vocals. And a lot of the bands that use tracks, again, I know I'm beating a dead horse, but I want people to understand this. They're not replacing their own talent. They're adding little bits that they can't replicate live. And that's really it. And this isn't a new thing, man. Like, in the late 60s and early 70s, studio technology was getting so wild that bands were starting to do so much crazy and awesome stuff in the studio that it was actually impossible to pull off live. That's where you started seeing Tracks. There were people that would use tape machines in a live setting, but then they learned it was hard to play along with those. And then you started getting click tracks and live settings and stuff like that. And one of the big arguments that Sebastian and Ronnie were having was laptops. For some reason, Sebastian kept trying to be like, laptops didn't exist before, this date. So explain to me how people are using tracks. Dude, tape machines. Alesis has like the HD24, which is just a 24 track recording unit that can also play back sound. I've used those for tracks on tour instead of laptops. The technology has always been there. It's just way more convenient and easy to have a laptop rig with your Pro Tools tracks and all of that on it. Throw it through an interface, send the audio out to the boards, and call it a day. But it's still going right now, this entire argument. Like I just pulled it up. Since I've started recording, there's more tweets coming up. There's more Instagram stories being shared. One of the funniest things is that it seems like Sebastian Bach doesn't know how to do an Instagram story. So he keeps sharing screenshots as reels on his freaking feed. Amazing. But somebody just responded to Sebastian Bach and said, I mean, literally every concert I have ever been to has used laptops. By laptops, they mean tracks, obviously. And Sebastian responded and said, you've never been to a real concert. Dude, you know how many legendary bands I've worked for way fucking bigger than him that use tracks? It'd probably blow his mind at this point. His head would probably explode if he came to the realization of how many bands are using tracks. And on top of that, Ronnie has found some footage of Sebastian performing live where they are using a form of tracks. Now, they're using intros and stuff, but that's what tracks are. That's where the confusion is coming from. Again, everybody keeps thinking lip syncing, but backing tracks can be intros to a set, outros to a set. Literally, we had intro songs on our playback rigs that started our show on the last tour that I was on. It was basically the timing. We knew once those tracks started and our pre-roll was playing with that intro song, we knew we had like 3 minutes until we needed to start the downbeat of that set. So again, backing tracks can be used for a lot of things. It isn't because these bands don't have talent. It's not because they can't sing. It's not because they can't play their instruments. It's technology, man. Everything evolves. Why wouldn't you want to use the best technology to put on the best possible show for your fans? That's where the disconnect with these old school musicians and fans and the new generation come in. The old ones are just in this get off my lawn mindset where they don't think that anybody that uses tracks has any kind of talent. And that's absolutely not the case at all. But let me know what you guys think. I know a lot of people that I see in the community here go to concerts a lot and are very aware that tracks are being used. Does it bother you guys that bands are using tracks? Let me know, man. And if you have any more questions about this, drop them in the comments. We can talk more about it. I'll also link my video to a more in-depth discussion about tracks if you want to hear more about what they're used for and stuff like that. But I'm just going to keep my eyes on this for now, man, because who knows where this is going to go. Maybe we'll get like a celebrity boxing match between Sebastian and Ronnie at some point, but the internet never disappoints me, man. Thank you for watching. My name's Tank again. You can follow me on tons of different social media. You can check me out on Discord and Twitch, and I'll throw links to all that below. Thank you guys for watching. I'll be back again soon with another video.